Hello everyone, this is the Red Riot Robot. I know that I didn't do a logging video for December, but I got really busy towards the end and it just kind of didn't come through. But I do have a top 5 video games of 2024 for you now. 2024 has been a bit of a rougher year for AAA, so there wasn't as much to pick from there, and in that regard, I think this list will reflect that. Number 1. Buckshot Roulette. I know this is a big streamer game, and I know some people would scoff at that, but Buckshot Roulette has been the game that I play when I don't feel like playing anything else, and just kind of feel like turning my brain off for a minute. It's pretty simple. It's basically Russian roulette, but with a shotgun, and if you fire the shotgun towards yourself and it's empty, you don't get hurt and the turn still stays yours. The thing that makes this game interesting is once they start introducing gadgets and objects to change how the game works, like beer lets you skip a shotgun shell that's loaded without seeing it, magnifying glass lets you see inside the shotgun, handcuffs prevent the NPC or the dealer, whatever the fuck he's called, from being able to fire the gun for 2 rounds, and a host of these. And with all of this combined, it makes a really interesting game based around chance and statistics and figuring out the best way to get through a round to kill the dealer. Number 4, Black Myth Wukong. This was a very interesting game for me. I was looking forward to it basically all year, primarily because I wanted to know what the quality we would start getting out of China was and whether or not they were worth paying attention to. I think Black Myth Wukong is a fantastic indication of the industry in China, and I think we're going to be getting some good things from over there. For a short little review, I do recommend this game, though if you do want to play this, I highly recommend you have a rough understanding of the plot of Journey to the West, because this game is not Journey to the West. It is a sequel to Journey to the West. If anyone thinks that it's Journey to the West, they're wrong. This is a sequel. They treat this game as a sequel. Characters are treated as if you know them already, like in a sequel would be. So that, I've read it, and it's an interesting little story. If you like stuff like Gilgamesh and Beowulf, I recommend it. That aside, the gameplay is really good. I will say it's a little simplistic. It reminds me a little bit of Final Fantasy 16 with the fact you only have like one combo. You do have special skills and a few styles, which usually control how your heavy attack works. The big upside to this game, I would say, is that it has a breadth of just bosses. There are close to 100 different bosses in this game. I want to say it's like ends up being 86, and only a handful of those are repeated. It is, and because they don't repeat, all bosses are very interesting for the most part. Towards like the last chapter, you get a few repeats and they're a little boring. I'm looking at you, giant poison boulder. But if you're looking for a game with really good boss fights that sort of surrounds a Journey to the West sequel and a solid foundation for action, I highly recommend this. I do look forward to their next game because I think that this is suffering from what I call, there's a lot of weird things in it. Like, for example, in the first chapter, you turn into a cicada for like 5 minutes. This does nothing and does not help you in any way. It's kind of pointless. I don't know why it's in the game, but there's other stuff like that. And I think with a second game, they'll be able to iron out, or even the DLC, they'll be able to iron out those small deficiencies. and oddities. And yeah, that's Black Myth Wukong. Number 3, Nine Souls. This is probably my favorite Metroidvania in a good long while. There were a couple other Metroidvanias that came out this year that people were looking at, specifically Prince of Persia and Tales of Kinzara. I think that's what it's called. And while I did play through Prince of Persia, and I thought it was good, the story was very lackluster, and I didn't play through Tales of Kinzara. I did play Nine Souls, and I'm glad I did, because it's a very heartfelt game, very filled with Taoistic imagery. I say that being someone who knows nothing about Taoism. There's not a lot to say about it gameplay-wise. It's a Metroidvania. If you've played one, you've played them all. It has a double jump. It has a little grapple thing. It has wall jumps. It has a dash. You've played this a lot. The one thing it does have, though, is a fun parry mechanic. This is the Sekiro of Metroidvanias, essentially. And these boss fights in these games, in this game, are very good. And that's about it. Like I said, there's not a lot to say. There's a lot of value in a game that doesn't really break any new ground, but does everything it sets out to do extremely well. And that's what Nine Souls is. One more! Number 2. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. This was probably the oddest pick on the list. I remember hearing about this game for years and had been waiting for it to come out, and I didn't think it would be as good as what it is. I thought it would be just kind of good and be something that didn't really stick with me at all, but it did. The gameplay is top notch. You have about 20 characters. You have about 20 characters you can play as, all with different little mechanics, so none of them feel the same. You do have to unlock a lot of those through like getting these tickets, but that's easy. And you have a game campaign that is really, really solid, especially if you have a couple of friends to play with to go through this game. By the way, this game is 4-player co-op. It's a game that has a very good, consistent pace of quality. I was never bored in the campaign. There was never really a lull where I was just like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this. It has fantastic set pieces. This game is basically one of the better like co-op experiences during the 7th gen, when that was a really popular thing to do. That's what this game feels like, and I cannot recommend it enough, and it was only edged out by the number 1 pick. I think Cygames did a fantastic job, and I know that they're making another single-player game that'll be coming out, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we get to the number 1 pick, I want to do a quick shout out of a couple of games I played this year for the first time on my own. The only reason that they're not on the top 5 is because they didn't technically come out in 2024. So the first of these is Final Fantasy 16. I don't have a PS5, so I had to wait for this to come out on PC. This is a pretty good port. Has a couple of weird problems with the cutscenes being at 30 FPS, but other than that, the game is fine, and it is specifically the cutscenes, not the gameplay. I really liked it. Clive is probably my second favorite Final Fantasy protagonist, right after Cloud, and I think that this is a fantastic step in the right direction for Final Fantasy after 13 and 15. Oh, and also, I'm not the biggest fan of the only one combo thing that was going on. I hope in the next game, if they make it an action thing, they add a few more than just the one combo. And the other game that I played this year, that I played at the start of the year, is F.E.A.R. I had never played F.E.A.R. before in my life, and this has shot up to one of my all-time favorite first-person shooters ever. I love this game. I'm glad I played it, and I didn't really ever gush about it throughout the year. I'm sad I didn't do that, and I kind of wasted a bunch of time on one video, but I just wanted to gush about it right here. Fucking love it. Go play F.E.A.R. It's a fantastic first-person shooter. And that's it for the games that didn't come out this year shout-out segment. Number 1, Crow Country. I had to debate on what the number 1 pick would be quite a bit, and the big thing that kind of put Crow Country over everything else is that it is the only game on this list where I have one singular problem with the game, and that is the Mushroom Dining Hall puzzle. It's a bad puzzle. The answer is stupid. If you have not played the game and you decide to play the game after this, come back here and tell us that it's stupid, because it is. It's the worst part of the game. It's not necessary to finish the game, but it's a bad puzzle. Everything else in the game is handled superbly. The atmosphere is great. The sound design is amazing. The writing is really good. It's not like this really, really deep philosophical thing like Signalis, but it's, for what it's trying to pull off, it does everything it's supposed to do very well. It has a very good mystery, or mysteries to it. The characters are well written. The guns handle how you think they will. I will say some of the enemy designs are a little goofy, but I think that's part of the point, because Crow Country is like in an amusement park. But yeah, it is a game that, in my opinion, only has one fault, and it is that one puzzle. And it's not like this is a game that lacks puzzles. This game does have a lot of puzzles in it that are pretty good. It's just that one thing is bad. So yeah, Crow Country gets to the top of the list for being almost perfect in my eyes. And it is the one game out of this entire list that, if you don't play anything else, go play Crow Country. It's $25, and yes, I know the game is short. It has like a 4 to 6 hour runtime for your first playthrough, maybe 8 hours if you're not really good at puzzles, but it is a fantastically put together game. And if you are into speedrunning, it's definitely your type of game. I'm glad I played this, and this is my game of the year. Okay, this is the end of the video. So I have a lot of plans for this year. I know that last year things kind of fell apart right before the Call of Juarez Gunslinger video, where that took me like 2 months to put together. I have plans for other stuff. If you have stuck around this long, thank you so much. For those people who subscribed to me throughout the last year, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. I know that I don't have a very big audience, and that's okay. I appreciate every view and every comment and everything over the last year. And I have to say, even though I'm not a big channel, I do enjoy making videos. That's the one thing I'm glad about starting this last year. Here's to another year of videos coming out. I should be more consistent now that I know what I'm doing, and I don't have to record under a bedsheet. And thank you. This is the Red Riot Robot, signing off.